So the pattern was in fact this, but done in pencil, because I was able to erase, and like if it wasn't working right, if the words weren't fitting right, however it, it was going, I was able to erase and fix it and get it all laid out perfect. And once I'd made that pattern, and it was May, and I'd been now working on it for 4.5, 5 months, and I knew it was going to work, and I was very happy. It was time to turn the pattern into the original thing. I started in January. I finished the pattern about mid-May, just in time for Abbey Road on the River. I think I had about a week after I'd finished the pattern to prep up the rest of my stuff and head on down. So that really didn't help with the fact I wasn't getting sleep. But in order to continue to use the whiteboard, because now I was going to trace the pattern, only this time I was actually going to trace. I was going to trace it because this is ink, pen, and ink. There is no erasing. So I had to have exactly what I was going to need in place, ready to go, and trace it, which sounds really easy, but in fact, if you fudge an edge or something, your letters are running together, you have to figure out how to get yourself out of that mess when you don't have an eraser. And of course, ink drips, and I was like, oh, I was so scared the whole time I was going to get like almost done and then drip a big blob of ink somewhere where I couldn't fix it or something crazy. But in any case, so in order to do the tracing accurately, I had to have the paper together such that it wouldn't slide or move around at all. Like if I started working in one area and it slid a little and my spacing was all off and it didn't line up, that wasn't going to work. So I got acid-free tape, because the acid-free is the only thing that's really safe with the paper. It won't yellow or anything over time. Acid-free double-sided tape. Took 2 rolls of it. It's kind of expensive for tape. I think it was $7 a roll. And it wasn't real long, so I took 2 rolls. And I taped the pattern very firmly to the back with the acid-free, knowing that there was a good chance that I wasn't going to separate the two. It was a scrapbooking tape, so I thought maybe. But once I had it done, and I was looking at all the work that had gone in, it was like, is it worth the risk to even try? And if I pull on it, it might like wrinkle the original piece. And quite honestly, since I'm not showing it on a light board, you can't see that it's back there anyway. But in fact, the original pattern in 2 pieces, because it was done in 2 pieces, is still taped to the back of the artwork, and it went right in the frame with it. So it's back on the light board, the pattern's underneath. The light board has about 3/4 inch, 1/2 inch raise to it. It's up a little bit, they don't make it like, it's not built into my floor. So I had to like make it level because I didn't want the paper to get wrinkled, like going over the edges of the light board or something, because it could over time. If it's just sagging off the edge of the board, you're going to get that bend in it. How am I going to do this? And I went out to the garage sales in our neighborhood and found these shelves. This person had all these shelves. I think they must have gotten them out of some warehouse or maybe someone gave them to them. Piles of these shelves, brand new, never used. They're about the same thickness as the light board, $1.50. So I bought like 4 of them, and I laid them, they're pretty long, I laid them around and used that, and I think I used a book or something in one spot and was able to prop it up and kind of play Tetris with the light board, because every time I did a different section, I would either have to turn the paper or rearrange everything. It's like, the light board, the 4 corners were pretty easy, but getting in the middle, I was like pulling it like one of those slide puzzles and sliding it all about and putting it back together. And it worked though, here it is, it's got done. But so at the point I finally was doing this, and I had my little puzzle underneath, and I had my piece on top, and I did a couple of days of work, and I said, I don't know if I'm going to make it. But see, at this point it had become very important, because it was the 50th anniversary, which was the whole point, but in the back of my mind I was like, but I have that piece hanging above my fireplace, and if this isn't done, I can just put that in the art show, and it'll be a year later, but it'll still be cool, And I was like, oh, that would be cool. But at this point, I'd found out that Klaus Bormann, who drew the original Revolver cover, was going to be at Beatles Fest, and I'm like, I have to finish it. He's like, what if you could see it? Wouldn't that be cool? I bring it there. The guy who inspired the piece, who did the original art, can actually see it. I've got to finish it. So, math lesson. How many days do we have from now until August? Subtract out all the days I'm going to be gone, because I manage Meet the Beatles and we travel a lot. We were gone almost every weekend all summer. So I took all of the days I had from now until the Fest for Beatle fans, minus all of the days I wasn't going to be in town because that thing ain't mobile, and then I subtracted 2 weeks for framing, and I believe the number was 28, something like that. I don't recall exactly. Probably something like that. And then I measured the amount that I'd finished out of the 48 by 48, multiplied 48 by 48 to get the square size of my piece, minus the amount that was missing, and that was how much I had left to do. Divide that by my 28 days, and I discovered I was going to have to do like 72 square inches a day, which is completely insane. But I think the first day I did it, I discovered quite how insane it was. It doesn't sound too bad. It's like 8 inches by 9 inches. That's not so bad. But when you're doing something as intricate as up here, 8 inches by 9 inches, that's a gazillion little lines and items. Out of my 10,000 characters, I'm not quite sure how many are in 8 by 9, but I can tell you it's a lot. And the first day I did it, I was up until like 4 in the morning, finally finishing up my 72 square inches and going to bed for a couple hours before work, and I was like, this might be a problem. My secondary goal was to complete it a week before Pierogi Fest at the end of July, because when Pierogi Fest happens, a lot of people come and stay at my house, and I was really nervous about having the incomplete artwork. Like, it was on my living room floor. There is no 48 by 48 easel, and even if there was a 48 by 48 easel, pen and ink needs to be done flat because ink drips. So I had no place to put it but on my living room floor. It was bigger than my art desk in my studio. It was bigger than anything, so this lived on my living room floor with us walking around it for 6 months. I think I finished it 2 weeks before Pierogi Fest, so I was really plowing. But I mean, I really was plowing. What I wasn't doing was sleeping. I pretty much came to the schedule. It was like, wake up at 7, go to work from 8 to 4, so I get home around 4:45, you know, make something to nibble at, something ideally not too messy once we were working on the regular piece. And I would take that over and set it off to the side and proceed to have a 2-hour snack while working on my Revolver piece. Then I'd go take a shower, and then I'd come back and work on it more, make dinner, have about a 3-hour dinner, also while working on the Revolver piece, and then plow along until my 72 square inches was done, which would oftentimes be 4 in the morning or later. And so you get those couple hours of sleep. 3 hours was brilliant, because there were nights where it was 2 hours, and do it all over, rinse and repeat. Same bat time, same bat channel, and onward and upward. But the first thing I did when it was finished was go yay and go to bed.